For 118 years, the Tudors controlled the English throne. 5 monarchs, starting with a Welsh-born rebel who won the crown on a battlefield and ending with a queen who refused to marry or name an heir. In between, Henry VIII broke England away from the Catholic Church, executed 2 of his own wives, and burned through 6 marriages, trying to produce a son. His daughter, Elizabeth, turned England into a global power and presided over a golden age of art and exploration. Then, in 1603, Elizabeth died at Richmond Palace. She left no children, no direct Tudor heir, and just like that, the most famous dynasty in English history was supposed to be finished. But DNA tells a different story, and it starts with a problem that haunted the Tudors from the very beginning, a problem hidden in Henry VIII's own blood. If you find these kinds of historical mysteries fascinating, subscribe now so you do not miss the next one. Henry VIII married 6 women and fathered at least 11 confirmed pregnancies across those marriages and his known mistresses. Only 4 of those children survived infancy. Catherine of Aragon gave him 1 surviving daughter, Mary, out of at least 6 pregnancies. Anne Boleyn delivered Elizabeth, then suffered multiple miscarriages. Jane Seymour produced Edward but died 12 days after the birth. For centuries, historians blamed syphilis, poor diet, or simply the dangers of childbirth in the 16th century. But in 2011, bioarchaeologist Katrina Banks Whitley and anthropologist Kira Kramer published a theory that reframed everything. They proposed that Henry VIII carried the Kell antigen, a rare protein found on red blood cells in only about 9% of Europeans. Here is why that matters. When a Kell-positive father has children with a Kell-negative mother, the first pregnancy is usually fine. But during that birth, the mother's immune system gets exposed to the baby's Kell-positive blood. Her body starts producing antibodies. And from the second pregnancy onward, those antibodies cross the placenta and attack the blood cells of any Kell-positive fetus she carries. The result is miscarriage, stillbirth, or death within days of birth. This is exactly the pattern that played out across Henry's marriages. First children survived. Everything after that was devastation. Whitley and Kramer went further. They traced the possible transmission of the Kell gene backward through Henry's family tree to Jacquetta of Luxembourg, his maternal great-grandmother. The pattern of reproductive failure among Jacquetta's male descendants, while her female descendants were generally successful, fit the genetic profile of a family carrying Kell. And there was another layer. People who carry the Kell antigen are at risk for a condition called McLeod syndrome, a degenerative disorder that typically appears between the ages of 30 and 40. Symptoms include muscle deterioration, personality changes, paranoia, and cognitive decline. Henry VIII was famously athletic, generous, and charismatic as a young king. After 40, he became an obese, paranoid tyrant who executed advisors on a whim and terrorized everyone around him. The timeline fits McLeod syndrome almost perfectly. Without exhuming Henry's remains from his tomb at Windsor Castle and running a modern DNA analysis, the theory cannot be confirmed. But the circumstantial evidence is strong enough that it has reshaped how historians understand the Tudor succession crisis. Their descendants included Mary Queen of Scots, whose son James became James VI of Scotland and James I of England. He was the first Stuart king, and every British monarch since has descended from that same line. The chain runs directly from Henry VII through Margaret Tudor, through Mary Queen of Scots, through the Stuarts, through Sophia of Hanover, through the Hanoverian kings, through Queen Victoria, through Elizabeth II, and all the way to King Charles III. The dynasty changed names 4 times. The bloodline never broke. Catherine Carey's descendants eventually include Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, better known as the Queen Mother, grandmother to King Charles III. If the theory about Catherine Carey's true parentage is correct, then the current monarch may carry not just Tudor blood from Margaret's line, but blood from Henry VIII directly. But the project was not a total loss. Researchers noted that the Tudor royal line traces back further to Edny Fed Fychan, a powerful 12th century Welsh leader. If a Y chromosome signature for his descendants can be established through broader testing, it might one day confirm or rule out specific claims of Tudor ancestry. The Tudor surname is still common in Anglesey, and the search continues. What makes all of this remarkable is the gap between what we assume and what genetics reveals. We think of dynasties as names on a page, beginning and ending on specific dates. The Tudors ruled from 1485 to 1603. Done. But DNA does not follow political timelines. Tudor genetic material, whether it is Kell antigens inherited from Jacquetta of Luxembourg, the Celtic Y chromosome markers of their Welsh ancestors, or the mitochondrial lines passed through Margaret Tudor's daughters, all of that is still circulating in living people today. The Tudors did not just rule England for 118 years. They wrote themselves into the genetic code of millions. The throne changed hands, the dynasty name disappeared, but the blood carried on. If this story changed how you think about the Tudors, subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications. We go deep into the DNA, behind history's most powerful families, and the next video is one you will not want to miss.